Hey guys, check out my latest podcast on Gavin Richard Presents, only on Anchor and Spotify. That's right, guys. We have moved to podcasts, so now we are heard all over the internet. I just don't do YouTube. Of course, you can't stop me. We do talk about a whole course of issues, whether it's race, politics, sports, entertainment, you name it, we claim it. So please check out the podcast Gavin Richard Presents on Anchor and Spotify. I'll holla. Peace. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome again to another episode of Gavin Richard Presents GBoo2786 here on Patreon. I'm glad you all are here, whoever you are, wherever you are, if you're checking out this timeline. So, as we begin this month of September, of course, the news that has been going on lately, one of the things, major celebrity news that I've seen is that Dr. Dre and his wife, not Andrea, but his wife, is it Young? Is it Nicole Young, if I'm not mistaken? Well, they are going through a divorce. Now, those that don't know, Mrs. Dre, soon to be ex Mrs. Dre, is requesting. Her name is Nicole Young. Okay, so I had it right. Nicole Young. I was thinking of Dr. Dre's name. So she's filing for divorce against Dr. Dre. They have been married for well over 24, 25 years. And when I take a look at examination at Dr. Dre and his wife and their situation, especially as an attorney who has practiced family law, there are some things that you can learn about Dr. Dre's misfortunes right now, and especially when it comes to divorce and property. Now, California is a community property state, just like Louisiana is. But California, my understanding, and just from what we've seen in the news and hearing about different things, they are very liberal, I guess you could say, in terms of divorces and giving things to females. Now, that is not to say that they don't follow the law and that they don't follow the law and it doesn't justify. But we know from being that there are a lot of celebrities out there, Hollywood stars, from Steven Spielberg to some other celebrities that have been divorced, high-profile divorce cases. Even going back to the 1920s and 30s with Charlie Chaplin, which was one of the major divorce cases in the country. There's a lot of money at stake when it comes to these claims and these settlements. And of course, when you have someone like a Steven Spielberg or a George Lucas or someone along those lines, and now, of course, when you have someone like Dr. Dre, who is worth over $800 million, and his wife is obviously trying to request $2 million in spousal support, although their children are all grown. She's requesting $2 million, I believe, a month from Dr. Dre. Now, one thing I want to say, and this is just on a business thing, because marriage is a contract, but the way marriage has been, while it is a contract and covenant with God, I believe in that religious aspect, it is also a business aspect as well, which is one of the reasons why interracial marriages were illegal, was because they did not want to give black people any rights to that property. That's a fact. That's one of the reasons why it was illegal, and also to prevent the bloodlines from commingling. That was another reasoning as well. But nevertheless, some things you should know about getting a divorce and also the process just to protect yourselves. Now, of course, I'm speaking as a lawyer from a legal standpoint, but I just need to do a disclaimer for you that Given that I'm not giving out legal advice. These are just my opinions based off what I know from the law. And I don't want you guys, especially if you have a legal issue, that you consider me your attorney or anything like that. This is not creating an attorney-client relationship. This is just from my expertise in practicing in family law here in Louisiana. Main thing, if you are a celebrity like a Dr. Dre, who is worth nearly $1 billion, if you are someone like Steven Spielberg, who has made over trillions of dollars and was in one of the biggest divorce cases back in the 80s in California, I believe was Amy Heckerling was his wife, and she actually received the largest, not Amy Heckerling, this is another Amy. She was in, I'm sorry, she was in the movie Carrie. And let's see, I can find it here. Amy Irving. Amy Irving had one of the largest and Steven Spielberg, they had one of the largest divorce settlements in the nation, in history, especially in California. And I say always have a prenup, because Spielberg had a prenup, but one of the problems with Spielberg's prenup that he had was that it was written on a napkin. And apparently, the judge did not declare the prenuptial agreement to be valid due to the fact that it had been written on a napkin, and she was awarded an estimated $100 million in a divorce settlement. I believe Harrison Ford's ex-wife, even receives money from him from any and all past movies that he's been associated with. And she and this also go, and this is kind of what Dr. Dre's wife is doing. She's she secured the bag. I mean, this is a woman that was married to a Los Angeles Laker at one point back in the early 90s. And now she's she's claiming also that it's changed because Dre is starting to threaten her, threatening to sell property. I don't know too much about that. Of course, Dr. Dre has had a history of physical abuse of women, and which is wrong as wrong can be. But given who he was, his reputation as far back as in the 90s, we know for a fact that Nicole knew or heard the stories about Michelle, especially since Michelle and Dre share a child together. Now, when I take a critical, furthermore, when you take a critical look at this, of course, this is a business this is seemingly becoming a business transaction, because you have someone that wants $2 million in expenses, something that I'm sure while Dre has it, he's not fond of paying, because this is a woman who, for all intents and purposes, I don't know what she does in her private life, but I mean, I don't think helped Dre make any beats or write songs, and she certainly, when you looked at her information, and I look at her information, I believe she's an educated woman. She actually, they say, was an attorney, but she's not listed as an active attorney in the state of California. So maybe she just has a Juris Doctorate, doesn't practice, and she didn't need to practice, obviously, with having Dr. Dre as her husband and 2 children with him. So in most ways now, marriage is about securing a bag, especially if you can marry a baller or a celebrity. A lot of women do that because they know they'll be taken care of for life. We have television shows called Real Housewives of Atlanta, Real Housewives of Hollywood, Hollywood Wives, Hollywood Exes. We have Love and Hip Hop. You have basically these self-destructive shows that show women in a negative light, and also in relationships with rappers who are, who are misogynists, and also who are in multiple relationships with different women. And they highlight this, and they know this. Now, another thing you also want to deal with, and that leads to my second point, is that if you're in a relationship with someone, before you marry them, especially if you know that they have children by other women. That man has children by other women, and he's known to be a serial philanderer, a womanizer, and or even a serial abuser, a spousal abuse, person that's been accused of domestic violence. Then maybe you should think twice about marrying them. I mean, in certain situations, you would not want to put yourself in an environment where you're opening yourself up to danger, where your life is threatened in any way, shape, or form. And I'm sure, like I say again, Nicole Young, Miss Young, knew about all of this stuff, being that it was Dr. Dre. Now, when the other thing about it, and this gets back to my prenup aspect as well, or it ties in with it, is that you also want to have a will that is set up for, your descendants and children. Now, why that is important is obviously you would want to make sure any and all affairs are taken care of, especially if property is going to be redistributed after you die. Let's say you were in debt. Well, you obviously wouldn't want a situation to arise where your offspring are dealing with legal battles over who is entitled to what mortgage company has to pay this, and so forth, and making it more difficult for them, where it's draining the estate, because once you're gone, you're gone. And of course, your music may stay, but I don't know if Dr. Dre may own the rights to all of his music, but where Dre made the bulk of his money was from being a producer with Shady Aftermath, and discovering the likes of Eminem and 50 Cent, but also when he started to do Beats by Dre, which is the studio company, especially when they made a deal with selling Beats by Dre to Apple. That really gave Dr. Dre, pushed Dr. Dre's network up from further where it was. So you make yourself a target, but you also protect your assets and make sure that your children, and especially if you're not going to be married, you have an ex-wife, you can, if you have a will, and I'm assuming, let's just say for the sake of argument, Dr. Dre has a will already, that I'm sure he's going to be editing his will, or amending it, as we say, if Nicole is in there. Now, on that note, guys, getting back to the prenup, I just want to get back to that for a second. Make sure you have copies of your prenup filed in the registry of the court. Make sure you have one in your safe. Make sure you also have your wills in your safe and somewhere where they can easily be found, because if they're destroyed and it can't be found or proven, if there's no record of it, then you may not have any standing in court. And Dr. Dre is trying to hold Nicole Young onto this prenuptial agreement that they had, that I believe he still has in writing, but she's claiming that it was destroyed during the years that the marriage, and I'm using her words, were in the good years. So, having said all of that, guys, you just may never know when a situation like this may arise, so it's best to protect yourselves in case the worst happens. Now, I would like for you all to please subscribe to the channel, my YouTube channel, GBoo2786, and also look at the Anchor podcast that I have. What you saw earlier in the beginning of this video, that is the link to the Anchor. You can subscribe there. I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart on Patreon for your love and support. I will see you guys in the next video, and more will be coming soon. Sorry, I know we've had some subscribers that have been out here and supporting, probably waiting on me to drop more and more videos consistently, but I've been tied up with work, and I think dealing with this pandemic has been tying up a lot of things, but I make no excuses. You're going to see more and more of it, and you guys stay tuned. You're going to enjoy it. So peace and love. I'll holla.